how would a poor old 80-year-old pensioner living on her own, who struggles to raise the £157.50 for her TV licence, falls into a bit of poverty to try and pay for this, and then you explain, well, one of the things that you're paying for is the £100 million that the BBC has just decided to spend on diversity.
Yeah.
What do you think that pensioner would think about the enormous amount of money that the BBC spends on way too many highly paid middle managers? It's overstaffed to an obscene extent. What do you think pensioners are going to think about this?
You're preaching to the converted if you're talking about the scale of overpaid middle managers in the BBC, or even some of the top managers. But at the same time, the BBC, there's a paradox here, because the BBC is under huge fire, rightly so, in this situation. Although, as I say, I think the government also have a large share of blame. But the same people or in many cases, the same people who object to this decision also say that they're proud of the BBC and wouldn't like to see the BBC disappear. So in a sense, it is a paradox. It's catch-22. And I mean, one of the ironic things for the BBC is they're not doing anywhere near as well as they want to do in the younger generation. And the people who are being
to say the least, Paul. To say the least,
a lot of their core
audience.
They've
lost the younger generation. They've been like a fox in the head. They've been like a fox in the headlights.
So is most of the mainstream media, whether it's in print or broadcast.
Yeah, but we're not talking about them. We're talking about the BBC and its struggle to survive in a modern world. They've lost the younger generation. They are like a fox caught in the headlights when it comes to Netflix and the other giant streaming services. And they've just appointed another white, middle-class, Oxbridge-educated public schoolboy as the Director General, whilst also announcing we're going to spend £100 million on diversity. That's not very diverse, is it? This organisation is not gearing up for the future. It is digging its heels in, saying we want the licence fee and we're going to carry on paying all these middle managers, and we're going to appoint another white middle-class Oxbridge Director General.
On the middle managers issue, but Netflix, much as I like Netflix and subscribe to it, is not going to give you the scale of news coverage or drama.
Better programmes, though.
Well, and also documentaries, on the same scale.
Does the BBC make that many good programmes anymore? It really doesn't, does it? There's a few, but it still does drama quite well. But ITV often does drama very well. Channel 4 does drama very well. So we can, as a nation, we're good at.
It's dumbed down a bit. I mean, but even Panorama is a bit dumbed down.
I just think it's a trope to say, the BBC produces lots of very good programmes. I think it basically produces a lot of rubbish.
It does both, Kevin. But when you talk around the world, the BBC still has huge respect.
I get that. Soft diplomacy and all that. Yeah.
I'm not uncritical of the BBC at all.
No, you're not. No, I get that.
But the BBC is still seen as one of Britain's internationally respected institutions, possibly more at the moment than our government is.
But that's another thing you could tell the struggling 80-year-old widow. Sorry about this expensive TV licence, but it's because the BBC is respected around the world.
Well, that's why they brought that Director General.
This is kind of old-fashioned nonsense, isn't it?
Kevin, with 129,000 licence fee prosecutions, but in terms of, we talk about people going to jail, but in the last figures available, for last year available, only 5.
That's obscene.
But no one should go to jail.
That's obscene, Paul. That's obscene that people should go to prison for not paying for television entertainment. Yeah. I'd say it was medieval if it wasn't about. It's nonsense. This organisation is mad.
35 who doesn't do it. The same person who probably piles up 100 unpaid.
But
Paul,
we can't we can't send people to prison
for
not paying for television entertainment. It's absolutely nonsensical.
Would you not send to prison somebody who didn't pay? Maybe 500 parking tickets.
Well, you don't go to prison. You don't go to prison for not paying 500 parking. You wouldn't.
You probably wouldn't.
Yes,
but it's not the same, Paul. We're talking about. It's not the same, Paul. We're talking about paying for television entertainment. Netflix can't take you to prison if you don't pay for Netflix. How on earth can the BBC justify sending people to prison for not paying for it? It's absolutely ludicrous.
As long as you have, and I think it has a shelf life, but as long as you have the license fee, then until the government, as they are hinting they will do, that they will decriminalise it, and that's a fair argument. But until the government do that, rather than talking about it, I wonder whether they really will do that. Even though
the BBC's very
an arch enemy of the BBC, but.
BBC's very unkeen on abolishing the,
they'd lose
the
hundreds of
ultimate
millions,
punishment
they'd
because
lose millions.
It wants to carry on imposing this licence fee, which brings us to one of our last questions, really. I mean, the licence fee, I know we've got to get to the Royal Charter, but it's doomed, isn't it?
Well, I said earlier, I think it might get one more renewal, but I can't see it going beyond that. But the question is, what new system do you introduce to fund the BBC?
How about they?
For example,
the iPlayer.
Here's an idea. How about they make programs that people want to watch and then sell adverts on the back of it? Get involved in the commercial world, and then you might not be producing so many bad programs.
Or like Netflix subscription.
Interesting. I was involved in a research project though, which in fact showed that the majority of over 65s do not like advertising on television. It's one of the reasons.
You're right about that. I agree with that.
Vulgar. Yeah, it's vulgar.
People hate advertising.
People actually turn to the BBC, funnily enough.
But my point on that, though, Paul, is that with most of the programmes that the BBC churns out, I would love them to have advertising in because it would give you a merciful break from having to watch them.
Well, yeah.
Well, that's your view, but it seems a lot of the people who we are talking about now are the over 75s.
I'm being facetious. You're making a good point.
And even a lot of the over 50s say they do not want to have the BBC showing advertising.
Do you think though?
Relying on advertising.
I get that people would not like that, but do you think though that the BBC would be pretty insane not to accept that when it comes to negotiating the next licence fee situation, that it would have to concede that this licence fee is going to have to come down a lot? It must surely bring the price down in order to preserve the licence fee.
Well, I think one solution that may arise from this, because it's, as I said earlier, I don't believe the government are going to do very well out of this in the court of public opinion. I think you need a compromise in which the license fee is reduced according to people's income levels, especially if they're on pension support. I mean, we have a situation, where if you have nearly 1 million people, or around about 1 million people, who are entitled to pension credits and therefore entitled to a free TV license, but who don't claim it for whatever reason, pride or ignorance. When I say ignorance, that's not to be rude to them. It's about the fact that the government haven't exactly gone overboard to actually promote the idea that you should actually rush out and claim your pension credits, because obviously that then comes out of the taxpayer funds.
Sure.
And way runs contrary to switching the license fee onto the BBC and away from central government.
Yeah,